Hi, Hollywood star, Alan
good.
Garcia. So lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
It's funny, because you wonder what your first question is going to be. It was what you were talking about in the break a moment ago, is the fact that you shot that in the hottest part of the summer.
It was warm, and it's warm in the masks and the costumes anyway. Yeah. So I would, wear like a little sort of cut-off shirt just to soak up the sweat to not make, because
Nice.
cause the costumes are sort of lycra, so after a while it's like not going to be great for anyone.
No.
But yeah, it was. There were a few days when we were shooting and rehearsing where it was like, this is hot. Yeah. England is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been here almost 28 years now, so it does get hot.
Well, congratulations, because you came second place. You made it away to the final, and I think for you, that was kind of, you wanted to get to that final. You wanted to get and do all your dances.
That is true. Like, I mean, I think in any sort of competition, you don't want to go out week one.
No, definitely.
And then sort of after that, it was sort of a bonus. And then when once the competition progressed, I was like, "Ooh, I like this is," and I'm really enjoying it. And I, as a dancer, just getting back into the studio and working with Joe and Phil and a guy, Callum Powell, who is my choreographer I've known for a number of years, and I love what he does. So I felt like a dancer again.
Yeah,
I felt like a commercial dancer, and I was popping and locking and learning all these things that Ashley Banjo said I could never do, but I can actually. And so yeah, it was warm. It was super warm.
And so, I mean, you are obviously a brilliant dancer, an amazing performer on all levels, but I can't imagine how it must change the dynamic of what you do when you put all that on.
It is more difficult, oddly enough, like just the weight. And I think, Bruno wore Pearly King head, which was gigantic, but they tried not to make them cumbersome. The costume team are amazing behind the scenes. But with the sort of the gauntlets and all the different padding, for instance, we were doing an Argentinian tango for the first week, and they decided quite late on, let's do that. And I had Pasquale La Rocca choreograph it, who's an amazing Argentinian tango ballroom dancer, and we worked out all these lifts and things like that, but the costume hadn't been quite finished, and so a couple of days later they were like, okay, well, let's put the costume on and see how we're doing, and we'll try the routine. And of course, half of it didn't work because I was just bumping into her head or her arm or anything, and so we had to re-choreograph a lot of things to adjust for the costume.
Last minute?
Sort of last minute. I mean, luckily for me, I'm a dancer, so that's sort of part of my job, but I'd imagine for other people who aren't professionals, it might be more tricky.
Yes.
Obviously, like, the greatest thing about the show is playing the guessing game. We all sit here and just going, who is it, who is it? Are you doing it too? Because obviously you don't, it's not like you all know backstage you'll hang out with your heads off. It's like you don't know. No,
you have, like, your suspicions. Like, I thought Pearly King might have been, like, Shane Ritchie, like, just because the East Ender thing, and you are playing this guessing game. I was like, for sure it's Kimberly Wyatt in, like, Scissors. But you never get to see them dance, even when you're meant to be watching them. It's just a green screen. Because, of course, they don't let you see anything. And even when you're doing the group dances, you can't speak. You have someone else, like, you have to whisper to if you need to say anything. So they're just standing there, and then you sort of... It is weirdly isolating, and of course, and on those hot days, you're sitting in a studio, tiny little box, and just waiting for your turn, and you're like, oh, all the crew's out there in the field getting a suntan, and you're like, oh, that's all right. I mean, look, it's a pleasure doing the show anyway. But it was weird, and a lot of the people, I did not have a clue. Stacey Dooley as Prawn Cocktail, I was like, what? Yeah.
But you didn't even tell your family?
I told my wife.
Yeah.
Obviously, she had to know. My kids would just blab it out everywhere, so you can't do that because they're little. They thought I was Pearly King anyway. They were like, for sure they thought I was Pearly King. Until the tapping bit. Even then, because I was going to say, like, but that was, I think it was it week 7? It was week 7, so right, and it was butter, and it was that you came out and did this incredible tap dance thing, and I think that was when people went, could it be just because of your background? I think that was I think for Davina and Oti, they were like, that must be. It's got to be you. It must be. And I think, I kind of didn't want to tap dance, but I did. Yeah. So I thought if I do tap dance, it might be a bit of a giveaway. But it was Callum choreographed an amazing routine. Yeah.
So if you haven't told the kids, then how do you explain your absence?
Yeah, that gets into lying, effectively. Let's be honest. Fabrication. I mean, because I'm a dancer and I'm a choreographer, and I was actually choreographing some other things at the time, the excuse to go into a studio for a couple of hours is sort of everyone just accepts that. That's actually quite an easy lie for me. It was actually harder once the show came on, because then you've got lots of people going, oh, were you in this? Oh, surely have they invited, like, all these questions, and you just can't answer, you know, no comment at all. You can't even say that because they're like, uh-huh. So, yeah, that was the hard part, like just basically ignoring that there was a show called The Masked Dancer. People would say, Masked Dancer? I was like, I've never heard of it. I don't even know what you're talking about.
And as far as the actual character, why Onomatopoeia?
I know you just had Sir Michael Palin on the show, and I partially blame him in a weird way. I've loved Python since I was a little kid, and effectively, they've encouraged my idea of absurdity. And so when I was given these choices of characters, and they're like, we have this idea, we know you like words, and onomatopoeia, and I was like, well, that is just totally absurd in a show which is incredibly brilliantly ridiculous. And I thought, one, it may be educational because kids might be like, well, because kids love the show, like, what is that? Like, zap, that's an onomatopoeia. Yeah. Peter Crouch, still, he knows now. Yeah, and I just thought it's so outrageous and so ridiculous. It's you know, it's on brand for the show.
Yeah. Clues were good.
The clues were good. A few I thought, oh, no one will ever get that. Or a few I was like, oh, how can they not?
Yeah.
I think one was, like, for instance, swankified. Now, I just did the Musical Con, which was this big convention on the weekend. And everyone there, of course, loves musicals. And they were like, as soon as you said swankified, we knew it was you because of Wicked and Fiyero. But if you don't know that, then, of course, everyone's like, well, we haven't even heard of that word.
But it's only easy when you know.
It's only easy when you know. But
and what, you could do both, technically, couldn't you? You could do dancer and singer.
Are they going to... Maybe they could combine it. Who's behind it? Like, masked musical theatre?
I'm sure in the American one, didn't... I'm going to make this up now, probably got it wrong, but I'm sure, like, somebody did both. Wasn't it Donny Osmond? I'm making this up.
So you could do both?
But I feel like they have appeared in both.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
I mean, don't say anything.
I can't possibly...
He's probably already done it.
No, I mean, that was the thing. I loved when Masked Singer came out, and I was like, this show's fantastic. And they actually asked me to do The Masked Dancer first, obviously knowing that I'm a dancer. And I was kind of like, yeah, I really want to do that. But I also, like, The Masked Singer would also be a fantastic challenge. Also, you don't have to move.
No.
Great, you just stand there.
It's lovely to see you. What are you working on at the moment? What are you doing?
I'm on the telly. I'm in a show called The Serpent Queen, which is on Stars, which is the antithesis of The Masked Dancer. It's about Catherine Medici's 60, 70-year reign in medieval France, starring Samantha Morton, and it's a costume period, Game of Thronesy drama. I just finished a movie, a tap dancing movie actually, called The Performance with Jeremy Piven, and then I was actually choreographing something during doing Masked Dancer, which is a show called Emerald Storm, which is like a tap Irish contemporary narrative story, which is we're doing in the theatre next year.
Too busy for The Masked Singer.
Possibly too busy for me.
Too busy. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. If you did miss any of The Masked Dancer, of course, it's all on the ITV Hub, so you can go catch up there. Thank you very much. We've sort of ruined the ending now. If you haven't seen it. Spoiler.